right onto 34th Street. Turn left onto 34th Street, then turn right. In 150 meters, turn left onto 33rd Street. Turn left onto 33rd Street, then turn left onto 27th Street. Turn left onto 27th Street, then turn left onto Abdullah Humadi Khanum Street. Turn left onto In 200 meters, at the roundabout, take the first exit 9th Street. Exit the roundabout onto 9th Street. Continue on 9th Street for 1 kilometer.
Health workers actually being attacked, ambulances have been attacked, and this has, significantly hampered the response, because it's difficult to do contact tracing. It's difficult to actually reach out to the communities that have been affected by this disease.
And in particular,
In
I know that a
400
number of
meters,
charities
at
have
the
said that
roundabout,
children
take the first
are
exit
paying
onto
a real
Algoes
price.
Street.
Yes, children are paying the price, and we've heard from aid agencies that deal with some of children in that particular area. So what they have said is that about 2,000 children have lost a parent, and about 180 have lost a parent and a caregiver at the same time. And what has happened is that this has exposed the children. They're really concerned because the fact that they don't have somebody to supervise and to
Exit
look
the
after
roundabout
them,
onto
then
Algoes
they've been
Street.
exposed, to the risk of exploitation, the
In
risk of
500 meters,
trafficking.
at the roundabout,
They're
take
under
the third
severe,
exit onto Mohammed bin
emotional
Qasim
distress,
Street.
and the possibility of them even being forcibly conscripted by ANGROS, because the outbreak is taking place in a region which has been affected by long-running conflict by different groups of militias that operate in that area. But the good thing is that we have seen several agencies together with the government putting up safe spaces, observation centers where they can take them in and assist them for the duration of the time that their parents or their caregivers are receiving care.
Richard Mugabe, our global affairs reporter in Nairobi. Many thanks. This is Outside Source. We turn to Russia now. Multiple dog owners have reported their pets dying or falling seriously ill after having a routine rabies jab. Let's bring in Olga Ivshina from BBC Russia. An unusual story. What do we know?
Well, what we definitely lack is official statements, but what we do know is that dogs in several
Exit
Russian
the
regions
roundabout
became
onto Mohammed
seriously
bin Qasim
ill or
Street.
died within several days of receiving a vaccine called Multicam. It's a Russian-made
In
worldwide
500
vaccine
meters, at
protecting
the
against
roundabout,
rabies
take the
and
second
several other
exit and stay on
infections.
Mohammed
The
bin
main
Qasim Street.
cluster, say, happened in the Yaroslav region, northeast of Moscow. Owners described seizures, vomiting, refusal of food and water, and very rapid deterioration. And the biggest trouble is that that there is no alternative to this vaccine currently in Russia. So both patients and doctors are stuck in sort of a limbo.
And what relation is this then to Russia's geopolitical
Exit the
role?
roundabout onto Mohammed bin Qasim Street.
War in Ukraine, the
In
government of that
500
country carrying out
meters, take the
sanctions
slip
against
road
Russia.
to King Fahd bin Abdulaziz Road.
Well, it's not directly connected to sanctions, but then of course it is connected to sanctions. So the thing is that since 2022, many Western countries have left Russia as a result of sanctions, and that's why Russia is heavily relying now on production of its own medicine, including
Take the slip
vaccines.
road to King
We
Fahd
don't
bin
know
Abdulaziz
yet what
Road.
exactly has happened. There was no official statement, but there are a lot of different theories saying that maybe the mystical,
Continue on Route 40 for 6 kilometers.
the protocol, and maybe it was unfrozen or something like that. So there are drugs available, there are vaccines available in Russia, but the trouble is, of course, that so the supply chains are even more complicated but of course sanctions do have effects like payment, transport, supply chains have become longer and more expensive. Some Western companies have reduced their Russian operations. And there are recurring shortages of particular medicine, especially original imported drugs, treatment for rare diseases. That has been a particular trouble, and some specialist medicines. And again, most importantly, Russia doesn't have access to the newest trials, newest technologies, and that's affecting first of all patients with complicated diseases and rare diseases.
Olga Evshina from BBC Russian. Thanks. This is Outside Source. We want to turn now to food, and in particular to those foods which might require a very, very strong sense of bravery and a very strong palate, and I put that delicately. On Thursday, people in Sweden gathered to eat the popular dish of surströmming, or fermented herring. The delicacy has become a talking point on social media. Many have spoken not only about the extremely strong taste, to put it one way, but also in the strong smell, which lingers. At the BBC here in central London, we're lucky enough that a Swedish shop is just a few minutes walk away. So we bought a tin of fermented herring for ourselves. We heeded the warning not to open it indoors. We went outdoors onto the roof to give it a try. Here's our team on the BBC roof just a few hours ago.
This is surströmming. It is fermented herring. And on the third Thursday of every August, the bravest people in Sweden attempt to eat this. On social media, there are some rather what this taste is like. I've gathered a few colleagues here. We're all going to be brave Swedes, and we're all going to try this for ourselves. You're meant to open it underwater because of the overpowering taste and smell. We don't have an underwater opening system, so we're going to do it in the open air. Gather round. Whoa.
Oh, wow. I don't think I can stand
Each we have a
I don't think I can have that.
James, very large.
Yeah, I'll take a bite.
Yep, go for it.
Let's do it. Do you want to go first?
No, you go first. It's my pleasure to invite you.
Keep left, then take the slip road. Take the slip road.
I think going third is actually much harder.
Continue for 1.5 kilometers.
I think she likes it. My thanks to my colleagues on the team who were brave enough to try surströmming, fermented herring, I should say. We tried it about 2.5 hours ago. Since then, all of us have been attempting to get rid of the taste from our mouths unsuccessfully. There was an attempt to get someone to go and buy mouthwash. That didn't quite work. Someone came back with some food. I've been drinking a concoction of different liquids over the last couple of hours to get the taste out of my mouth. I have not yet succeeded. I'm looking forward, as soon as this program ends, to making a complete shout to get rid of all of that taste, and therefore my admiration for those people in Sweden who are able to enjoy that dish is pretty unparalleled. Let's speak to the producers and sellers of foods, renowned for their required taste. Svetlana Evans
In 500 meters, slight right.
family business is in the Uppsala region of Sweden, and Colin is the founder of My Exotic Fruit, which imports a range of exotic fruits, including different from Styrian fruit, to sell across the UK. With Svetlana, we should start with you and salute you. We did all try surströmming. It was very, very tough for us, but do you enjoy it?
Slight right.
Of course, but I think you were brave. What it seems. we tried as best we could, but the texture was unfamiliar, the smell and the taste was unfamiliar. But as Swedes, is this something that you're eating
great.
Sweet things and toffee and white chocolate, believe it or not. There's many different types, published in varieties. But yeah, it's a lot.
Continue for 1.5 kilometers.
Do you enjoy it?
I do. It's quite normal for people to not like it when you first try it. It's very rich, overwhelming, confusing. That's when you kind of get past the smell, the weird texture. It can become really enjoyable, and actually in different parts of the world, in the Far East, it's
But there are some places in Southeast Asia that don't let them eat durian because of the smell. It simply overpowers everything. Is that a real issue?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I've extensively travelled across Asia for our company, and yeah, you can regularly go to hotel rooms and train, all sorts of public transport, and you will see, noticed it saying, 10,000 Singaporeans on a flight eating the durian in the hotel room or whatever. Yeah, it's strong.
In 500 meters, slide right onto First Street.
Some really don't like it. I mean, I recall many years ago living in Thailand, being stopped at one point a metro station, because I had some durian in my bag when I wasn't allowed to return. So, they take it seriously.
Slide right onto First Street.
Here in the UK, well, you've got a few groups of people that grown up in, that live in the Far East, people that maybe travel to the Far East, curious countries, something like that.
In 600 meters, make a U-turn at 7th Street.
And it's lovely, when I said to you earlier about sweet, sometimes people want it just like chocolate ice cream, so, it's known for its smell, but it's very delicious, and there's many varieties that sell in the UK, because they're delicious and exciting, and it's so different to me.
You then take it right to we could have it in a fruit salad or something.
It's very much on its own, to say it's quite rich, but actually, sort of an Asian tradition, you actually follow it with a fruit called mangosteen, which is another exotic fruit, and it's considered to be a cooling fruit. It's quite like juicy and hydrating, so I think have this like really rich concoction that's like eating basically like dense whipped cream. You then tend to eat it with some mangosteen, and there are towns that you should eat it with coconut, which is described. Not quite sure if that's true, but that's one of it.
Make a U-turn at 7th Street, then turn right onto 8th Street.
And Sven, listening to Colin talk about durian, are you tempted to try durian fruit yourself?
I've done that actually.
You have done?
I think it was okay.
Not bad.
Strong smell though.
But are you used to that from the herring?
Yeah, you get you are quite used to that now, so it doesn't scare me really.
And in
Turn
terms
right
of
onto
other
8th
foods, I know
Street,
you've
then your
tried
destination will be on the
Icelandic
left.
shot. What was
Yeah.
that?
That was a terrible dish from hell.
Really?
Yeah, to eat.
So you only had it once?
Yeah, on a very small part of the shore.
In 150
How
meters,
did
turn
you and your
left to stay on
family
8th
start
Street.
this business? Is this something that you inherited from previous generations?
No, not really, because it was a neighbor of us.
Turn left to stay on 8th Street, then your destination will be on the right.
Handy one for the fishing when he was young. So we just joined in this adventure, and we actually went to no one in this region.
Your destination is on the right.
So we went to a beautiful interviewed old fisherman. So and we came up with a kind of recipe and tried for a couple of years. It was terrible, and we kicked the barrel out of the sea. But in the end, the word spread, and suddenly we were in business.
And Svenka, finally, we tasted the surströmming. We did our best. Are there any tips or recommendations you would give other people who would really love to try it and see what it's like? What should they do to prepare themselves?
Well, I think the first thing is not to take a big bite in the herring. You should put it in flat bread with potato, onions, and some sour cream, and then you should just put small bits of it like a seasoning, and you should think of old cheese, because this is like lactic acid bacteria, And so it's the same stuff like in the cheese. And we actually, when we placed our herring to classify it, we often speak of it as, you know, well, this berry is like cheese rolls, and this is like Gruyere, and this is like Brie, you know.
I
So
see.
it has, yeah, something of the cheese.
I think we made the mistake here in London of eating it as in huge mouthfuls and not treating it as seasoning, but it was an unforgettable experience. So Svetke Johansson, who's drumming business owner, and Colin Banham, importing exotic fruits, thank you so much to you both. Well, this hour we also want to bring you other stories, including stories that you must have felt in wherever the world you live, the weather and the changing climate, and the fact that the meteorological office here in this country has warned about the upcoming effects of the El Nino weather phenomenon. The Met warns that El Nino is likely to be the strongest in living memory in 2027. A little earlier, I spoke to my colleagues at BBC Weather. Ben Rich from BBC Weather, nice to see you. I've just been looking at the article you posted online saying that El Nino weather phenomenon coming might be the most powerful living memory. Talk us through it.
Yes, it's a very strong statement from the Met Office. They've been crunching the numbers. They've been looking at the sea surface temperatures in the Pacific rising and rising and rising, which is the sign of El Nino. It's the thing that scientists look at to declare El Nino, to say just how strong it is going to be. And they say it is very likely to be the strongest El Nino in our lifetimes, perhaps the strongest since the 19th century. They are describing this as an unprecedented event. Temperatures in the part of the Pacific that they watch closely are currently around 2 degrees above the norm. Doesn't sound like very much, but when we get to 0.5 degrees, that's all you need for an El Nino. Forecasters say that those sea surface temperatures might get to 3 degrees or even more above where they should be at this time of year, and the effects of that are going to ripple right across the globe in terms of our weather.
Which particular regions might see the strongest effects?
So the most pronounced effects, if you like, tends to be seen in areas around the tropical Pacific, which is where El Nino actually happens. So the coast of parts of Peru, Ecuador, for example, on that Pacific coast of South America, that is an area where we can see more rain, more heavy rain, more flooding, more landslides. The south of the USA actually gets heavier rain in these El Nino scenarios. On the other side of the Pacific, it's a different story. Australia, Indonesia, we expect less rain, the greater chance of drought, bushfires in Australia. But the further away you get from the Pacific, the more kind of diffuse the effects become. But there are things that we see. So South Asia, for example, monsoon in India, quite often in an El Nino year, the rainfall is below average. That's exactly what we've seen so far this year. Rainfall patterns in India, below average right now. And the Atlantic hurricane season is another big one. We tend to see suppressed activity in the Atlantic in terms of hurricanes.
Really?
Yeah. Now, so far this season, we've only had 3 named storms. So again, it's another sign that El Nino is already playing out.
Would we normally, as we head into late August and September, be getting more of those hurricanes around the Caribbean?
Yes, we would. And obviously we'll be keeping a close eye because the season comes to its peak during late August and into September when the seas are at their warmest. That's what gives hurricanes their fuel. So we'll be keeping a close eye on things as we move closer to that peak to see if the activity picks up a little bit. But certainly what we're seeing right now is in line with what scientists were telling us about what El Nino would do to the hurricane season as they've been watching it developing over recent months.
Ben Rich, my colleague from and the article that he's written along with Mark Pointing, our climate journalist, can be found on the climate section of the BBC's website. I'm James Reynolds. To stay with us here on Outside Source, live on the BBC World Service.
Stay with us on the BBC World Service because in half an hour it's Outlook.
Join us on the Underground in London and New York as real-life dramas play out. There's a woman who desperately wants a child but can't have one, and a baby who's been abandoned. Form lives.
After that, Witness History remembers the campaign to eradicate the screwworm.
Then I conceived the idea that perhaps we could rear the screwworm and have some genetic deficiency.
And at bbc.com, Unexpected Elements explores the science of lateness.
So the southern part of the San Andreas fault line hasn't ruptured since 1690, and earthquakes there occur on average about every 180 years, so it's been seismically overdue for about 2 centuries.
This is the BBC World Service, the world's radio station.
You're listening to Outside Source live on the BBC World Service. In a few minutes' time, we'll ask you a simple question. How do you address your elders? Do you use their first name, or where you are, would that be seen as insultingly familiar? We'll tell you the story of a Nigerian who took issue with a younger woman addressing him informally. We'll bring you opinions from the Middle East, from India, and from West Africa.
BBC News with Sue Montgomery. A senior UN official has warned that the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo is growing exponentially. He said half of the 2,500 deaths recorded occurred in the past 20 days. Weather experts have warned that a developing El Niño weather system could become the largest since modern began. They say Pacific Ocean temperatures could climb as high as 4 degrees above normal. Military officials in Ukraine say Russian drone strikes on a shopping center in Kryvyi Rih have killed at least 6 people. More than 90 others were injured. Palestinian officials say a 17-year-old boy has died after being shot in the chest during clashes with Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli military has confirmed that a security official opened fire. Football's world governing body FIFA has sanctioned Argentina because of their conduct at the World Cup. Midfielder Leandro Paredes was suspended for 10 international matches for his role in on-field clashes. Several people have been injured in an attack at a high school in central Sweden. The authorities in Fagersta say a person entered school and attacked people with a sword. A court in the UK has ordered Princess other public figures who a claim against the publisher of the Daily Mail newspaper to pay an initial $30 million legal costs. The court said they must make the payment within a week. A 4-meter-long python has become the first snake in the world to receive a life-saving cancer treatment. The python, which is housed at Chester Zoo in England, was given electrochemotherapy after a cancerous tumour was discovered in its jawbone. BBC News.
You're listening to Outside Source on the BBC World Service. We're live from our position right here in the heart of the BBC's newsroom in central London. Nearly 6 months after President Trump had a swift victory over Iran, the conflict appears to be at a standstill. Prospects of a military victory or a negotiated settlement even appear to be growing dimmer. To break the deadlock, Mr. Trump has vowed what he's described as an economic D-Day, under which any country that does business with Iran would face tremendous, his words, economic consequences. Let's bring in our US State Department correspondent, Tom Bateman. What would that economic D-Day look like?
Well, we don't know yet because the